A southeastern Kentucky man is dead. State police say he was murdered. Now they're looking for witnesses who may know something.
Family, friends, and Kentucky basketball fans all saying goodbye to Ed Davender today. We'll be live at his visitation, and you'll hear from his former coach, Joe B. Hall, coming up.
The developer of the controversial Centerpoint project in downtown Lexington is tackling criticism head-on. Coming up, we'll have more on the funding and the future of the massive mixed-use development.
This is WKYT News at Noon.
Good afternoon from WKYT News. I'm Barbara Bailey.
I'm Bill Bryant. Here's what's happening at noon. State police are trying to figure out the circumstances behind a murder in southern Kentucky.
30-year-old Shane Mills was shot to death last night inside his home on Trace Branch Road in the Walker community of Knox County. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has the latest on the investigation. It's our top story at noon. Phil?
Kentucky State Police were called to the Walker community of Knox County in a very rural part of Knox County, several miles from Barberville, about 9:30 last night. They say when they got there, they found 30-year-old Shane Mills dead of an apparent gunshot wound. Kentucky State Police were called because several people heard the gunshots and then called for help.
Again, it's a very rural area, and we suspect that someone in this area knows about what has occurred, and we're just urging the people to contact Post 10 and give us some information.
Now, police say they still have a lot of unanswered questions about what happened, but they say they believe someone likely saw something, so they're encouraging people to call Kentucky State Police with any information they may have. In Knox County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Thank you, Phil. And Mills' body was sent to the state medical examiner for an autopsy. Police have stepped up patrols after a rash of fires in central Kentucky that are believed to be connected. The 5 fires happened in the last week in Jessamine, Fayette, Scott, and Garrett counties. In each case, investigators say someone broke into the empty home and set the place on fire. The arson task force is offering up to a $1,000 reward for information in these cases.
Well, the rainy weather continues in parts of the Commonwealth today, with off and on chilly showers rolling through as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Things are looking better for the weekend as the Derby approaches. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live in our First Alert Weather Center. Micah?
Getting the bulk of the rain on out of here. That's the good news. The bad news is that cooler air keeps rushing on in. Cloud cover sticks around. There still is a rain chance. It's going to be funneling in here later on this afternoon. Remember, this is a small rain chance the rest of the day, so it's hit and miss. It's kind of about a 30–40% chance of rain, and that's about it. 49 degrees now in Lexington. Look at these temperatures. We're 49 in London. Most of us will finish off right there in the mid-50s once it's all said and done. It's just not the best looking day, and it's a pretty chilly day. You got to remember, finishing off 55, 56 degrees, that's about 15 degrees below average, because typically we're in the low 70s. We're going to keep a close eye on Saturday. Friday looks good, but Saturday, much of your day looks pretty good, but we're looking in toward late in the day, evening and night. I'm going to show you new data that's just now coming in and what it says for now for the Kentucky Derby coming up.
All right, we hope it's encouraging and we thank you. And from lawsuits to long delays, it has been a source of contention in downtown Lexington over the last 8 years. But during a forum at the University of Kentucky today, developer Dudley Webb says work on Centerpoint is now moving forward. WKYT's Mark Barber has an update on the project. Mark?
After 8 years of delays and scores of detractors, Dudley Webb says he is ready to move on with the Centerpoint project. He hopes others are also willing to move forward.
We're building the buildings. Now, at some point in time, shut up.
That was Webb's strong response when he was questioned repeatedly about funding for the downtown development. He says Centerpoint's underground parking garage should be finished by the end of the year. Webb says he and another man that he's in business with are paying for the $38 million garage. Webb says they have not started pouring concrete yet because they still have to make sure water is not seeping out of limestone in the area. In the next 3 months, Webb says retaining walls will start to go up, and those walls will be followed by an office tower and 2 hotels, a Marriott and a Residence Inn. The plans for those buildings are still being modified and improved. Webb thinks part of the blame for all the delays centered around the controversial project falls on journalists and city officials who have sharply criticized the development. He says the negativity can turn away lenders.
They see what these people, the naysayers, are saying, what crooks we are. It just makes it more difficult, and in spite of that, we're going forward.
So who will pay for the Centerpoint project? Webb says the funding will likely come from private investors, private equity, and private banks. However, he says he can't release anyone's names until they sign the contracts. In Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
And Webb also says that the delays that have been so frustrating for many people in Lexington are also costly for him. He says keeping the construction cranes in Lexington alone is costing him $35,000 a month.
Visitation continues in Lexington at this hour for a former UK basketball star. Ed Davender died a week ago at the age of 49, days after suffering a massive heart attack. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is live at the First Baptist Church, Bracktown, with more on how Davender is being remembered.
Yeah, Davender's visitation is underway right now at the First Baptist Bracktown, the same church where he was baptized just a couple of years ago. His former coach, Joe B. Hall, and John Calipari, and many others paying their respects today here at Davender's visitation. Many people wearing a splash of blue for the former Wildcat who died last week after suffering a massive heart attack. Davender played for the Cats for 4 seasons, starting in 1984. Davender is 11th on UK's all-time scoring list and is the only Kentucky player with more than 1,500 points and 400 assists. His pastor, Dr. C.B. Atkins Sr., describes Davender as a kind man who truly wanted to help other people. Former teammate Kenny Walker said, quote, "He was like a little brother to me." During Davender's freshman year, he was coached by Joe B. Hall. Hall, who recruited Ed, told us Davender was one of those people everyone loved.
You couldn't be around him without appreciating his sincerity, his competitiveness, and just the great person that he was.
Now, former teammate Rex Chapman is here. He and Kenny Walker will serve as pallbearers for a funeral that is set to begin at 1 o'clock. Ed Davender was 49 years old. Live in Lexington, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Michelle, thank you. And Davender will be buried at Lexington Cemetery. If you're feeling lucky, you may want to buy a lottery ticket today.
It is, as they say, way on up there, right? There was no winner in last night's Powerball drawing, so the jackpot is now an estimated $415 million. And that's no chump change, but it is still a far cry from the $1.6 billion prize shared by 3 winning lottery ticket holders back in January. That's the largest jackpot draw ever in the world. No one has won the full jackpot this time around since March 2nd. The next Powerball drawing is coming up on Saturday night.
An annual Kentucky Derby Festival tradition went rolling down the river. The Belle of Louisville and the Belle of Cincinnati competed in the Great Steamboat Race last night on the Ohio. And for the first time in 5 years, the Belle of Cincinnati won bragging rights and the silver-plated antlers. Today, it's the Pegasus Parade. Harlan County native and winner of The Voice, Jordan Smith, is the Grand Marshal.
All right. As the Derby week rolls on, big doings over there in Louisville. Well, the November general election is beginning to take shape now that Donald Trump has a clear path to the Republican nomination. We'll have the latest from the campaign trail coming up on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, George Clooney and Julia Roberts go bananas with Gwen Stefani and James Corden. We'll explain next on WKYT. Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. Donald Trump outlasted all of his opponents in the Republican primaries, and now he likely will take on Hillary Clinton in the general election.
Craig Boswell has the latest now from the 2016 campaign trail.
Donald Trump will hold his first rally tonight as the presumptive GOP nominee.
Did you really think you could win? I guess, otherwise I don't think I would have done it.
But after taking down 16 opponents, Trump has to mend some fences, and it won't be easy. Presidents Bush, both 41 and 43, are sitting out this election and will not be endorsing Trump. Neither will GOP Senators Ben Sasse of Nebraska and Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker said, "The things Trump said about women and about Muslims and about religious freedom, I just can't support."
The general election is a time to consolidate your support within the party, and this is not going to be helpful in that regard.
But if Trump stirs negative feelings among some, Hillary Clinton, his likely opponent, does too.
It's sort of a question of how they can reverse that at the margins and whether it can actually get close enough for Trump to actually get over the line.
Before Clinton can face off against Trump, she has to finish off the Democratic race against Bernie Sanders, and he says he isn't going anywhere.
The people in every state have a right to cast their vote for who they want to see as president and what they want to see the agenda of the Democratic Party to be.
Sanders would need to win 85% of the remaining delegates and convince superdelegates to change their vote to win the Democratic nomination. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
Sanders has won 18 states so far and is likely to pick up his 19th win next Tuesday in West Virginia if the polls there hold true to form. Donald Trump is the presumptive Republican nominee at this point, but he is losing the classic rock vote. The Rolling Stones are the latest act to tell Trump to stop playing their songs at his campaign events, saying he did not ask their permission. The songs "You Can't Always Get What You Want" and "Brown Sugar" have been played at Trump rallies in the past, and most recently he used the Stones song "Start Me Up" at an event Tuesday night in Indiana. Adele, Steven Tyler, REM, and Neil Young have also urged Trump to stop using their music. Well, Gwen Stefani was in the hot seat for the latest round of carpool karaoke with James Corden on The Late Late Show, and it was what you might call a really memorable experience.
The two started out singing a few of Stefani's old hits from her No Doubt days, along with her solo career. Corden then realizes he needs 2 more people in order to drive in the carpool lane, so he enlisted the help of 2 very special passengers.
Few times I've been around that track, so it's not just gonna happen like that. 'Cause ain't no holler back girl, ain't no holler back girl. It's bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. It's bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Kentucky native George Clooney and his pal Julia Roberts also belted out "We Are the Champions" during their ride. You can see them team up again on the big screen in Money Monster. It hits theaters a week from tomorrow. If you haven't seen the whole thing, you really do need to. This is so fun.
Right, and feel free to join right in, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The Food and Drug Administration has released some new federal guidelines for electronic cigarettes.
Find out what this could mean for the industry. Coming up in a report on WKYT News at 12:30.
Only a couple more showers to go the rest of the afternoon. We're trying to dry some things on out Friday into your weekend. I'm going to have that forecast coming up next.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Typically, we're in the lower 70s. That's for afternoon highs. Not even close today. I mean, not even within 10 to 15 degrees today. We're talking very chilly conditions outside. 49 degrees right now in Lexington. Look at some of the colder spots. Somerset, Richmond, Berea. Go down into Science Hill. Work your way into Rockcastle County. Sitting there, Livingston, and also Mount Vernon. We're seeing some very cold conditions. Mount Sterling taking the cake. Camargo, Jeffersonville, Owingsville. Yeah, we're holding on to temperatures at 45 degrees at this moment. There will be a spot in some viewing in some county that could stay right there at 49, 50 degrees. There will be a spot. The reason being the cloud cover and also those winds coming in from the north, pumping in that cooler air. Just not going to have a great shot of actually seeing a lot of sunshine today. You will get bits and pieces, don't get me wrong, but not a lot. Here's the deal. The bulk of the rain has already moved on out. We're still getting that flow out of the northeast, and what that's going to do is give us the opportunity to see a couple of more showers in through the rest of the afternoon. There's really not much going on. You got to look down toward the southeast. A couple of sprinkles, a couple of light showers, and that's it. There's really not much out there, and I just don't expect much the rest of the day. Only small chance, about 30% chance of rain the rest of the day. Temperatures in the mid-50s. There will be some spots a little bit higher than that, but nonetheless, I mean, we're talking about just the 50s today. Then we hit tomorrow. It feels and looks much better. Virtually everybody stays dry tomorrow. A great day for Oaks Day. There is a small rain chance for the West Virginia-Kentucky border. That's far east. I mean, way far east. As far east as you can go in the state of Kentucky, that's your best chance to actually see a passing shower. Other than that, we're dry. Derby Day, I looked at the latest weather model. New data still showing that time frame that I was talking about, that 8 to midnight time frame that we start to see some storms move in from the north. That means northern half is the best chance to actually see some storms before daylight ends, okay? Before we go off into the night, that's the best chance. Still a small chance, but that's the best chance. That means southern half, Lexington southbound, we won't see storms until we actually hit the nighttime hours. Highs will be there in the 70s, so a really good day on Derby Day with even some sunshine peeking through too. So it's a really nice day, and then those storms move in during the evening and off into the nighttime hours. I don't see it affecting the races there on Saturday. Not right now. Now, as we get a little bit closer, we'll see if that timing does change, because 3 hours will make a huge difference if we bump it up. We'll see. But then we head off toward Mother's Day. A few storms will be likely. You'll get some peaks of sunshine here and there. It's not a complete washout, but it still looks like you'll have a rumble of thunder or two. So the breakdown of it is just a chilly rest of the day, small chance of rain. Tomorrow's dry, 69 degrees. Great day tomorrow. You can finally knock out some lawns. I haven't been able to just because of all the rain the past few days. Saturday still looks mainly dry, but those late storms move on in from the north to the south, anywhere from 8 to midnight, guys, and then Mother's Day, like I was talking about. Just a few storms here and there.
Yeah.
And we finally get temperatures a little bit warmer, back to the upper 70s, lower 80s. We are way low today.
Yeah.
Very low.
Yes.
We are. And Buzzy said you are behind on mowing his lawn, so you need to get on with that.
Right. You don't want me to do that.
We're back in a moment on WKYT News with David. Look at sports. A welcome return for UK hoops. We have the details on that.
And who's making noise on the backside at Churchill Downs? Dave Baker's next with sports.
Been a wild week on Wall Street. Here's what's going on at midday today. The major market indicators are up.
Matthew Mitchell turning back the clock to return stability to the UK women's program. WKYT can confirm a story first reported by our partner Jen Smith at the Lexington Herald Leader. The former UK assistant Nia Butts is returning to Kentucky. Butts and Mitchell were assistants on Mickey DeMoss's staff, and then Butts was an assistant with Mitchell before becoming the head coach at Arizona, where she was from 2008 until being let go at the end of this season. She joins her former Tennessee teammate Kyra Elsie on the UK staff. Now, the return of Butts is welcome news to a program that has received another jolt last night when it was announced that yet another player was leaving the program, this time Alexis Jennings. Jennings, a sophomore post player, still has 2 years of eligibility left. She started 18 games last season. Matthew Mitchell said he was alerted that Jennings wanted to leave. He said he talked last week about giving players a clear path forward at UK, and he said in a statement it saddened him that Jennings did not see a path at Kentucky. Mitchell now only has 5 players left from last season. He also has a recruit and transfer and only 6 scholarship players eligible to begin next season. Well, a full field of 20 entered last night for Saturday's 142nd Kentucky Derby. Unbeaten Nyquist, the 3-1 morning line favorite out of post 13. But every Derby week there seems to be a hot horse on the grounds. And this year, that appears to be Exaggerator, the second choice at 8-1, who'll break from the 13th post position. He's trained by Keith DeSormo, and Keith's brother Kent is the jockey aboard the Santa Anita Derby winner. Kent is a little concerned about the post, but Keith says their horse has more than one gear.
Pedigree. Number one, he fits. Second of all, the way the style of running. It seems practical to me that it's more effective to be an off-the-pace horse in order to get 1.25 miles than trying to run 1.25 miles on the lead. I don't know. That's the way I think. So his style fits that as well. So he checks all the boxes. He should be able to get 1.25 miles with no trouble.
Tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, recruiting expert extraordinaire Evan Daniels with Scout.com. That's at 6 on 630 WLAP. And coming up a bit later, guys, the very latest from Churchill Downs. But for now, that's a look at sports on your Thursday.
Okay, a lot going on in the world of sports. Thank you, Dave. And keep it here. There's more coming up in the next half hour of WKYT News at noon.
A woman walked up to a fast food restaurant. I'll tell you how her trip to get fast food landed her behind bars.
And tomorrow night's Mega Millions jackpot is $138 million, and Saturday night's Powerball jackpot is $415 million.